It's a title that sounds like a headline a newsroom would print and a conversation a governor might hear in the hallway. If Florida slashes property taxes, where will the money come from? The question is at the heart of a growing debate across the country, but first let's set the scene in Pasco County, Florida. Households in towns like Land O'Lakes are swelling as new families move in, and with that growth comes a jump in property values and, unfortunately, the bills that follow. Ron DeSantis, the Republican governor under whom Florida is grappling, has said straightforwardly that he finds property taxes fundamentally unfair. He argues that paying a mortgage ought to put you fully in control of your home, yet every year you still owe money to the government for the right to live there. That has driven him, and a handful of state lawmakers, toward a proposed constitutional amendment that would slash those property taxes. But the ride hasn't been smooth. When the amendment was first floated, it faced a swift backlash from local officials, even from some Republicans who support the governor's broader agenda. Take Mike Fasano, the tax collector in Pasco County. He's a lifelong Republican, a DeSantis fan, yet he warns that the amendment would hit hard. He points to the Sheriff's Department, Fire Rescue Services, Veteran and Senior Programs, Parks and Recreation, museums, libraries, essentially every department that relies on property tax revenue to keep rolling. If those numbers fell, those services would have to cut back or disappear. That, for him, would damage both the economy and the community. His warning is not isolated. Across the nation, states with Republican majorities have moved to similarly restrict property taxes, from Texas and Georgia to Nebraska, Alabama, Indiana, and Wyoming. And the Idaho Republican Party even made eliminating the property tax a platform plank, branding it an unjust tax that turns private property into government collateral. Yet, despite the so-called political buzz, the backlash in Florida signals a core issue. Lower taxes can lead to fiscal instability when local governments find themselves with fewer resources. Critics warn that to fill the gap, states may turn increasingly to more volatile revenue streams like sales taxes or fees, which can create a shaky financial foundation. Still, the debate is far from over. DeSantis has announced that he is backing away, though not altogether, to the amendment that will appear on the November ballot. That pullback signals how intense the pushback was, even coming from people who may otherwise fall into the same ideological camp. Instead of a certainty that the amendment will pass, a more uncertain, more negotiating approach is emerging. It's a stark reminder that in California, Florida, and beyond, if you lower one kind of tax, you'll force the state's budget to grow in something else, and that balancing act can be really difficult, especially when a state's budget is already tight. That is why for now, whether people will see their property taxes cut at the end of the year seems to be up in the air. Yet the question remains, and governments will have to figure out the answers. That's the story of a proposal, a backlash, and a debate that reminds us that fiscal policy is never quite as simple as a headline suggests. Thanks for listening. I've been speaking with you from Pasco County, Florida, where it's not just a rise in housing, it's a debate on living on your own property. Until next time.